I never imagined that saying yes to something as innocent as posing for my son's art project would take me down a road filled with memories, emotions, and truths I thought I had buried long ago. My name is Laura Bennett. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon with my 17-year-old son, Ethan. Ever since my husband passed away 3 years ago, it's been just the two of us trying to piece life back together. Ethan has always been artistic. His room is filled with sketches, paintings, and sculptures, his way of expressing feelings he doesn't always put into words. So when he came home one afternoon and said, "Mom, I need help with my final art project," I didn't hesitate. I thought he needed help gathering materials or driving him to the supply store. But when he looked me in the eye and said, "I want to draw you," I was taken aback. "Draw me?" I laughed a little. "Like a portrait?" "Yeah," he said. "But I want to capture something real. Not just a smile. I want to show strength." "You." I didn't know what to say. No one had called me strong in a long time. Mostly, I felt like I was just barely holding it together, especially after losing Mark, my husband, and Ethan's dad. But Ethan looked serious. He meant it. So I agreed. The next day, he cleared a space in the living room near the big bay window where the light poured in. He set up an easel and asked me to sit on the armchair in my favorite sweater. The one Mark used to say brought out the gold in my hair. I sat still while he sketched silently, the sound of pencil on paper the only thing between us. At first, I felt awkward, unsure where to place my hands, how to look. But Ethan just kept sketching, occasionally glancing at me with a thoughtful gaze. After about 20 minutes, he took a break and showed me the rough outline. My breath caught. It was me, but different. There was something in the way he had drawn my eyes. Tired, yes, but full of a quiet determination. I almost didn't recognize the woman he was capturing. She looked brave. "Is that really how you see me?" I asked. Ethan nodded. "You don't even know how much you've carried since Dad passed. I just wanted to show that." We didn't talk much that day, but something shifted between us. In the following weeks, he asked me to sit for him several more times. Each time, the sketches evolved, my expression, my posture, the shadows on my face. It was like he was seeing more and more of me each day, and through his art, I started seeing myself differently too. One evening, after a long session, he sat back and said, "You know, I always thought you were invincible, even after everything. But drawing you made me realize you're human. And that's okay." I looked at him, not as the boy I had raised, but as someone becoming a man with thoughts and depth I hadn't realized he carried. "I tried to be strong for you," I admitted, my voice cracking. "I didn't want you to see how broken I was." "I know," he said softly, "but you don't have to do that anymore." We both cried that night. It was the first time we'd allowed ourselves to grieve together instead of alone. And it was all because of an art project. When his final submission was due, Ethan presented a series of 3 portraits. The first one was tentative, fragile. The second showed strength. The third, an image of me looking directly at the viewer with a small but peaceful smile, was titled Resilience. His teacher called it one of the most powerful submissions she'd ever seen. But beyond the grade, the project gave us something much more important. It bridged a gap we hadn't known existed. It opened up conversations that were years overdue. And it reminded me that being a parent isn't always about shielding your children from pain. It's about walking through it together. Weeks later, Ethan asked if he could exhibit the portraits in a local gallery for a student showcase. I hesitated, but eventually agreed. The gallery night was emotional. I stood near the paintings while people came by, asking about the story behind them. Some were moved to tears. One woman said, "You remind me of my sister. She raised her son alone too." Ethan spoke briefly during the presentation. He said, "Art helped me connect with my mom in a way I didn't expect. It helped me understand her. And I hope it helps others see the strength in the people they love." The room went silent for a moment. And then, applause. That night, as we packed up the paintings and drove home, I realized that modeling for Ethan's project had given us both something we'd been missing. Closure, connection, and maybe a little bit of healing. And to think, It all started with one simple question. Will you pose for me? Now, when I pass by his room and see the portrait hanging near his desk, I don't just see a woman who survived. I see a mother and a son who found their way back to each other through honesty, love, and the power of art.